So why do Tesla batteries suck? Like 10 times worse as an energy storage system than a gas tank car from the last millennium. Well, it's a fascinating story that starts with my last video about Elon Musk and his great idea to use cold gas thrusters to augment his new electric car.
We're going to put rocket thrusters on it.
For real?
Yes.
What are they going to burn?
Nothing. Ultra high pressure compressed air.
Whoa. Just air?
Cold gas thrusters.
Now, that did seem to split Elon Musk fans right down the middle between those who just thought he was joking and those who thought he was being visionary. Which I've got to admit is about to kind of set me off. So if you want to cut to the meat of the video, skip ahead to about the 6-minute mark. Otherwise, strap in Dorothy. I'm about to have a bit of a rant about some of the most annoying fanboys on the internet. Elon Musk fans. In fact, boys, this video about why Tesla batteries suck is kinda just for you. Because your dewy-eyed devotion and lack of will to acknowledge facts is just that goddamn annoying. So where did we get up to? Ah yes, Elon Musk fans being split over whether he was just trolling, just kidding, about putting cold gas thrusters on a car. Which kind of makes me scratch my head. I mean, for me, the Hyperloop was clearly a joke. No sane person could have proposed this, but they took it seriously. Then his idea of inventing the car underground, which was clearly a joke. Billions of people to take their cars into the middle of a city. Like that makes sense or something. I mean, he was clearly joking. Or claiming that he could dig tunnels for 1% of the cost that professional engineers could dig them for, which was clearly a joke, but they took it seriously. Or claiming that he was going to use rockets like planes, which honestly takes credulity to a level verging on religion. But nah, they swallowed that, which was clearly a joke. Hook, line, and sinker. Now, Elon Musk was proposing to use cold gas thrusters to make his cars go faster and maybe even fly. Something that it is 1,000 times more plausible than things like the Hyperloop or that rocket thing. And what did Elon Musk fans come out with? Oh, nah, he was clearly joking here. Sure, let's ignore the fact that Elon Musk's been talking about this for about 6 months. Let's ignore all of these news articles that didn't think he was joking. Let's ignore the fact that Elon Musk, when he's talking to Joe Rogan, obviously isn't joking. Let's ignore the fact that if you go to a video from an Elon Musk fan, you'll find it absolutely littered with comments saying how amazing this new idea of Elon Musk's is. I mean, really, Musk fans ignored all of the really, really preposterous stuff he proposed. Nah, then he was being serious. This time he's proposed something less stupid than normal. And now you think, this time he's joking. You think that's going to be a good defense. Just in why? I thought it was obvious that it was a joke. Elon Musk makes a joke. Thunderfoot makes a 35-minute video on it. Actually, close. Elon Musk is a joke, which is why Thunderfoot made a 35-minute video on it. Leave it to Thunderfoot to obsess and narcissistically trying to debunk an obvious joke for half an hour. Price charters. Just when it seems like Elon has done the craziest thing ever, he comes up with something even better. It would be nice to see more people like him, constantly pushing the limits of what we think is possible. Of course it will happen. He said he would sell flamethrowers. He said he would dig a tunnel under LA. He said he would put his car into space. He said he would add thrusters to a car. It's Elon Musk we're talking about. Yes, I know. I'm just obsessed with Elon Musk. It's nothing to do with debunking crap like this for over 10 years. Things like religion or scam artists hucking empty promises by coating them with scientific jargon such that to the average guy who doesn't actually have the time to look into this sort of stuff, they actually sound plausible. They sound like they know what they're talking about. However, if you know what you're doing, with a few simple calculations, you can show what they're promising is simply not possible or practical. They're promising something that they will never be able to deliver.
I tell you what I'll do. I'll show you my idea. I give you the Springfield Monorail.
This time they're talking about putting SpaceX's rocket thrusters on their next generation Tesla Roadster. What? Okay, please tell me this is true.
What? Did someone say moving goalposts? Nah. It's nothing to do with what I showed was wrong with Elon Musk. The problem is that I'm obsessed with Elon Musk. That's why I'm wrong. But just in case you did think this was a good argument, let me just tell you, it's not looking good when your best argument is you're obsessed with Elon Musk. Really, that's the best you've got. There are no arguments here. It's not based on facts or reasoning or anything like that. No attempt to actually show why anything that I said was wrong. The best you've got is, but you're obsessed with Venom Fang X, or creationism, or religion, which proves that God exists. Or you're obsessed with feminism. You're obsessed with Anita Sarkeesian, which shows you must be a misogynist. Or you're obsessed with Brexit and Sargon and Trump, and just look how great they're working out. And now, yes, there are actually people out there who think, but you're obsessed with Musk is somehow convincing, that it's an original and winning argument. Nonetheless, there were some interesting comments which brought up hydrogen-powered cars, because they have big tanks of high-pressure hydrogen in them. Now that's actually a fascinating topic, which I had always assumed had gone nowhere for several reasons. Most notably, hydrogen scares the crap out of me.
One.
Now, I'm a hard and experienced man when it comes to dealing with dangerous stuff. Nuclear reactors and high-energy particles, no problem. Some of the most toxic elements known to man, anytime. Things that explode regularly. High-pressure gases, no problem. Cryoliquids, and so forth. I've worked with them all, and hydrogen still scares me. I've experienced small-scale hydrogen explosions, and they're terrifying. You can't see hydrogen and you can't smell it, yet it has one of the highest propensities to explode of any gas when mixed with air, and that's why it's dangerous. You get a regular gas leak and it's far more likely to burn than explode. You get a hydrogen leak and give it a bit of a chance to mix with air, it will almost always explode. I don't like hydrogen. So when someone suggests running a car with it, I'm notably cautious. The second reason why I wouldn't want to use hydrogen as a fuel is simple. While hydrogen itself per kilo is one of the highest energy densities of any chemical fuels. What? You might be thinking, hey, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Then you add the weight of the storage vessel, and hydrogen goes from being one of the most energy dense chemical fuels to one of the least energy dense chemical fuels. Take, for instance, my 50-litre cylinder, which could take up to 200 atmospheres. Doesn't really matter 200 atmospheres of which gas. That cylinder weighed about 50 kilos. So how much hydrogen could it store? Well, 50 litres of hydrogen is about 2 moles. So that's about 4 grams per atmosphere for a cylinder like this. Yeah, it's not very dense, which is the reason why hydrogen balloons float better than helium balloons. So at 200 atmospheres, a cylinder like this would contain about 800 grams of hydrogen. That's not even 1 kilogram in a 50 kilogram cylinder. So if we take a look at energy density, hydrogen per kilo is about 3 times the energy density of gasoline. So a kilo of hydrogen is worth about 3 kilos of gasoline. So to store the equivalent of 3 kilograms of gasoline, you've got a 50 kilogram tank. That's a bloody heavy gas tank. Now, I used to have a small Mazda, which I drove all over the place in America, and it had a 13-gallon fuel tank on it, 50 or so litres, which held about 40 kilograms of fuel. Storage tank itself weighed about 15 kilograms. So a nothing special car, built in the last millennium, got about 35 miles per gallon. So it would do about 450 miles on a tank of gas, which, when full, weighed about 55 kilos at its heaviest and 15 kilos at its lightest. So a single passenger weighs about 100 kilos or so. So the energy storage device on my car weighed about half of what a person would weigh. Let's compare this to the modern Toyota hydrogen gas car, which has a range much less than my car from the last millennium. It carries about 5 kilograms of hydrogen, which they correctly say is about the equivalent of 5 gallons of gas. But that 5-gallon equivalent of gasoline comes in fuel tanks that have a combined weight of about 100 kilograms. And that's even using high-tech, low-weight cylinders. It's still going to have an energy density, once you factor in the fuel tank, about half that of gasoline. So it's going to weigh about 100 or so kilos when it's full and 90 kilos when empty. Ha ha! But that's nothing. Let's now compare this to Elon Musk's baby, the Tesla Model 3, which, according to Tesla's website, has a range of about 200 miles. And I just want the Elon Musk fans to just savor this moment. With the Tesla Model 3 range, the Tesla Model 3 range is one of the best of any electric vehicle available today, traveling up to 215 miles on a single charge. Again, much less than my old gas-powered car from the last millennium. But its battery weighs half a bloody ton. Are you getting this? The energy storage for my car with a 500 or so mile range from the last century was 50 kilograms. The best a modern electric car can do is managing half that range on an energy storage system that weighs 10 times as much. And to make things even worse, that battery weighs exactly the same when it's full as when it's empty. So when my gas tank's full of gas, it weighs about 50 kilos, and when it's empty, 15. The Tesla battery weighs about 500 kilos when it's full, 500 kilos when it's empty. I mean, holy smokes, the Tesla Model 3 battery alone weighs about half as much as my old car. Then you get on to refueling time. I could refuel my car in a few minutes. Refueling a hydrogen car apparently takes a comparable amount of time. Although, like I said, I'm personally terrified of hydrogen. I don't ever see myself fueling a car with it. But whatever, minutes they reckon. To refuel a half-ton Tesla battery? Well, the Model 3, according to the Tesla website, has a charge time of 20 to 30 hours. And if you take it to a supercharging station, someone's kindly done a time-lapse of that, and it takes just under 2 hours. Although that's apparently with the long-range Tesla battery that has a range of about 300 miles. Nonetheless, with supercharging, you're probably looking at over an hour for about 200 miles of range. So if I'm driving at 70 miles per hour or so, I'll deplete the Tesla battery in about 3 hours, at which point I'll have to stop and recharge, which optimistically at a supercharging station is going to take about an hour. Whereas my old gas-powered car from the last millennium can drive for about 6 hours and only has to stop to refuel for about 5 minutes. And that's the reason why Tesla batteries suck. And for those hoping that there's going to be some great battery revolution here, it's not going to happen. Watch my video on super batteries busted. Battery technology is probably as energy dense as it's going to get if you want to maintain things like safety, reliability, and rechargeability. Tesla batteries might suck when they're compared to gas as an energy storage system, but that's only because all batteries suck as an energy storage system when compared to gasoline. If you're just seeing how well you can do with batteries, Tesla batteries are actually pretty good. It's just in terms of energy density, they're still an order of magnitude worse than a gas tank. I mean, this is just a harsh reality. Some things are almost as good as it's going to get. You're never going to get a chemical fuel that's 10 times better than gasoline, because gasoline is pretty much the apex of what you can do with the chemistry, and batteries aren't far off that either. Hydrogen suffers a similar problem. Storage devices for hydrogen almost always end up turning it from one of the highest chemical density fuels to one of the lowest. So, more along the lines of burning wood or something. Although I have to admit, these Toyota folks look like they were pretty serious about this hydrogen stuff. They have a 700 bar cylinder in the car, which, as I previously expressed, I would want nothing to do with. But their crash tests make it look like they've actually thought this through seriously. They also have, for some strange reason, someone shooting one of their very expensive composite cylinders with a gun. Now, according to Toyota's YouTube channel here, what they want to show you is that the Mirai's carbon fiber tanks undergo a test of a high-powered 50 caliber gunshot from point-blank range. The high-caliber bullet pierces the tank and the structure remains intact. The tank does not burst, which is probably a good thing. This hydrogen tank here has about twice the pressure in it that these tanks have.
Oh. Wow.
Holy crap!
And that's just the energy from the pressurized gas. Mix the hydrogen there with air and then ignite it. You will get a detonation about 10 times this size. The gas merely escapes through a hole and disperses into the atmosphere with no catastrophic rupture. Like I was saying, with hydrogen, that's almost as bad. Special high-speed cameras slow down the action to showcase the strength and innovation of the tech at work. Well, okay, let's take a quick look at that. What you're going to see here is a little spray of dust coming out of the tank, but that spray of dust is going at roughly the speed that the gas is coming out of the tank at. So the spray starts about here and ends about here, some 25 frames later, during which time that dust has moved, I'm going to estimate, about 30 centimeters. So 25 frames at 30,000 frames per second is about 1 millisecond. This stuff is going about a third of a meter in a millisecond, which means it's going about 300 meters per second, which is about the speed of sound. It's coming out of that cylinder at about 600 miles per hour or 1,000 kilometers per hour with no way of shutting it off. And maybe just to really drive that point home, bullets also travel at about the speed of sound. This one's probably a bit faster, being a high velocity bullet of some sort. So all I have to do is play the bullet impact backwards and we have an internal calibration for something going about the speed of sound, and we can play the dust ejection alongside it. And you see that the gas is coming out of the cylinder at about the speed of sound. They've also simulated a fuel tank failure, which is actually about right for a gas car. There is a huge energy density in the gas tank of a car, but it's actually quite hard to get an explosion out of it, in the way that you can get an explosion out of a high-pressure gas can. But the interesting idea that, in the event of an emergency, the cylinder just vents and flashes the gas off is actually, if it worked, not such a bad idea. So flashing the gas off, just venting it and burning it's probably not that dangerous. Quite a big flamethrower, it must be said. But the problem comes is if the gas doesn't burn while you're venting it. Because like I say, you mix hydrogen with air in almost any way, and it's very prone to detonation, thanks to the very low minimum ignition energy required for hydrogen-air mixtures. 1/10 that required for igniting a gasoline-air mixture. For instance, an invisible or static spark from a person can cause ignition, which means that if it doesn't vent and burn while it's doing it, you have a giant potential detonation cloud over your vehicle. Now, the downside of gas, of course, is it makes carbon dioxide when you burn it. And yes, that contributes to global warming. But then again, an electric car charged with electricity from a gas or coal power station releases just as much carbon dioxide. So where does this leave us? Yes, electric cars have a place. But that place isn't everywhere. For range and charging times, they're just never going to cut it. For runabouts in town, yeah, they're pretty good. The more so if they're actually powered by a renewable energy source. But then again, if you're keen, there are alternatives. Just like when you burn gas, you get a huge amount of energy and carbon dioxide and water. It is possible to reverse that process. Of course, it takes a huge amount of energy. You've got to put in at least as much energy that is released when you burn it in the first place. It's chemically challenging to do. It's a massively energy-intensive exercise. But if you're willing to do that, it does mean that gasoline at that point becomes a carbon-neutral fuel. The downside of this, of course, is almost everyone misses the point for clickbait headlines. Let's turn carbon dioxide into a fuel. And these ideas are just massively pimped out there and just skim over the idea that you've got to put at least as much energy into it as you got from burning it in the first place. You can't cheat the laws of thermodynamics. But maybe that's a story for another day. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and ring the notification bell. And if you really enjoyed it, subscribe and maybe consider supporting this channel through Patreon.
These are the simple glories of being on the road, where the mountains go funny colours and the sunset